Well, it's that time of year again, start working on combines. I'm hoping this should be done. This should be done this weekend. Should be. There's not a whole lot needs done to it. We're gonna work on the rotary screen today. Got to change the oil, grease it. My belt showed up for it today. There's a couple little nitpicky things that just need attention, but other than that, this doesn't need a lot, and the 7300 needs even less. I need to adjust the brakes up on it because the parking brake doesn't. It must have walked forward a little bit. Skirt was driving over it. But hopefully the next 2 weeks gets the combines knocked out, because do that, and then I'm hoping to get third cutting hay knocked out, and then that'll be the end of hay for the year. And then by that point it'll be harvest, or close to it. But anyway, I brought this thing over yesterday and just gave it a quick bath with the power washer to blow. It was covered in dust from sitting in the barn, and it didn't, I mean, I did the best I could last January when I was washing it, but I was using my little gas drive power washer, and that's only like 2800 psi or something. I mean, it does the job, but it was, for as scuzzy as this thing was, my power washer did not cut the mustard. So she just needed a second bath, and I'll do the same thing for the 7300, but made it a little bit more pleasant to work on anyhow. It's probably gonna keep beeping at me because it's reading the coolant levels a touch low, but which it is, because the minute it warms up and the coolant expands, the light goes out, so it needs a little splash, but I haven't put any in it yet. So, but yeah, she shouldn't need a whole lot, and I need this top hinge on this door broke last year. I need to find, and I haven't had any luck, because everybody I know with parts machines has scrapped them already. I know there's a parts machine out with a mud hog I want to try to buy. I just haven't done it yet. But see how that door has that strap on it to keep it, and this door is supposed to have it, but it's missing. Don't know why, but the door catches at the bottom, so it flexes up here, and it broke that. The piece is still there, so hopefully Dad can TIG it on. It sucks because it's probably gonna scorch the door seal a little bit, but I guess it is what it is. Need to fix that hinge so the door doesn't fall off. Alright, to make this easy, I just pull it up along the retaining wall like we did back when we were putting it together after the rollover, to make life a little easier. But there are a couple cracks that need addressed. I need to drill a second set screw hole in this pulley, because it's only got one in it to begin with, and that's not nearly stout enough. It still likes to walk. And then I need to obviously replace the seal and the rivets, which I've already got all the parts to do that. So it looks like a lot of that I can actually do without having to pull the whole thing off. I just have to pull the pieces off I need to fix. So first things first, I gotta go find my puller that I built, and we can take the rotary part off itself. another bolt underneath this one to push on to get a second bite. My biggest fear is dropping this thing and smashing it to smithereens. It's not exactly a piece that would be easy to just work back out. Alright. Now, I need to take this cover off so I can get the belt off, and then there's 4 bolts, and that whole thing will come out as an assembly, and we can just leave the housing on it. Oh yeah. Shit, I got too many ratchets. Ow. Part of the problem with this, and I understand that it's a stamping, so getting it exact isn't exactly ideal, but they've got, this isn't quite formed to the outer radius, so they've got this gap here that's actually pulling taut here and here, so that's part of the problem. Got me wondering though, is that because that little, oh, there it went. I was gonna say it's not spot welded in, but we gotta weld that back in. There's a little crack right there, needs welded shut, and then I'm gonna make a couple straps that come back in somewhere in here, weld in to reinforce it, because if you just weld that back shut, all it's gonna do is break. So anyhow, all right, so got the pulley off, so that's out of the way. This shaft's also got a wobble to it, so I'm going to pull that all the way out when we get done with this part and see if I can't straighten that out and get that wobble out of it, because it's flexing everything in here and we don't need to start breaking welds and crap. So, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not sure showing up well on camera, but it's bent somewhere in here, it appears. So anyhow, I got a couple patch plates made up. They're going to go in like that. This isn't really welded in parallel to this edge, so rather than try to cut these things and make them, I just have them cut to length. Gonna weld them in, then I can just take a grinder and zip the excess off, and then once it's welded on, then we can transfer the original hole all the way through. And then once these are on, I figured it'd be easier to get the patches welded on first, and then I can stick this back in and weld it in from the back side, and not have to worry about blowing weld through and having it'll be easier that way. So that's what we're doing. also not really worried about it here because the bolt's going to go through and pinch it, but I put a hole right here so I can plug weld it. Don't know if it was necessary, but because I'm not going to weld these edges, I'm just going to go down, and so I don't know. Figured it was there to help some of the lever moment. Get a big Alright, I worked ahead a little bit, got the holes transferred through, everything's welded in, the back's ground back all smooth, so it'll be flush. So these are ready to go. I pulled the shaft out because I was expecting to have to work on it, and I've rolled it across the bench. I've laid a straight edge on it from multiple angles. That shaft's not bent. Put it in the lathe to clean it up, shaft's not bent. I don't know what's making it weeble wobble. The only thing I could think was the bearings might have not been quite in alignment, but I don't understand that with a straight shaft. But anyway, so I pulled the bearings out of their holders, cleaned the holders up, cleaned the outer races of the bearings up to get the rust off of them, and we'll see. I don't know, but I'm gonna throw this back in, so I can throw some primer on these corners so we won't rust. And I need some antifreeze. So if I put it back together and it still does it, I have no clue why, because the shaft is not bent. I don't see how it could do it for any other reason other than a bent shaft, because that's kind of the whole point of self-aligning bearings, is even if one of the bearings goes on a little wonky, it's still going to be in line with the shaft. So I guess we'll see here in a minute. That guy's got to go on here. Okay, as of right now, it's not doing it. So I could tighten my flanges up and the bearings should be in line. Okay, it's still not doing it, so I need 3 inches of reveal on the screen side. Can't get that in there. On the screen side of the shaft, so actually needs to come back. That's 3 inches of reveal. So now we can lock the bearings down. And this is the hard part, holding the damn thing. Seems like last time I did this, I put that one's tight. They ain't gotta be, I mean, you don't gotta reef on them, they just need to be snug. And now it does it. Not quite to the extreme that it was before, but it does it. So does it do it if I take this bearing or if I take this? Now it doesn't do it. Now it does do it. I can't explain it. Cannot explain it. Oh well, I guess it is what it is. Alright, I got some primer shot on those corners. While that's drying, we're going to mess with this pulley. I think we're going to end up having to just flat out replace this pulley at some point because of the threads in that set screw hole that's right on top of the key are getting a little rough. It's an aluminum pulley. Probably was not the best deal for that. But a 14-inch steel pulley for an A belt. I think that's a, what is that? Probably a 3/4, or is it a 1-inch? Probably 1-inch. Yep, 1-inch. So, I mean, it should be a fairly standard dimensional pulley. But for right now, we're gonna do the best we can to modify it. So I'm gonna come in and lay a hole here. You don't actually, when you're doing set screws, you don't actually really, it's better to go a little bit more than 90. The geometric, the forces work better actually to keep everything tight if you go a little bit over 90. You see a lot more modern pulleys going that way. So we want to go roughly a 1/2 inch. Unfortunately, we do not have a way to safely get this thing in the mill without breaking it, so I'm just going to eyeball it the best I can, and we'll see how it turns out. Even this is going to be kind of a pain because I really need to be out here with the drill to get straight in, because if you go there, it wants to actually, I had a way to fix this. Hold on. Need a shorter drill, but I need a short F drill, and we don't have any that are shorter than this, so I guess it is what it is. But this drill, or this little guy, works a little better anyhow. I'm splitting the spokes pretty good, so somebody's trying to walk on me. Alright, where's the damn center punch? There it is. Normally I wouldn't suggest running a drill like this straight at yourself either. Do as I say, not as I do. I figured for aluminum this would cut like butter. There we go. And my favorite thing to do is tapping aluminum. I mean, I understand what they were going for by using an aluminum pulley. They were trying to keep the whole assembly light because it's hanging off the edge of the combine, kind of unsupported, and you just don't want to be having a lot of weight out there. But if they were going to do it, they could have used a little beefier pulley with a little bit beefier hub and a little bit beefier spokes, and because this pulley's kind of fragile. And basically what it was doing, and the reason I'm doing this is, and it's been doing it ever since we fixed it first, or since we did all the repairs from when it was rolled over, you'd run for, 25, 30 acres, get out to, or go out the next day, open up the radiator and the screens and all that stuff, or actually that night when you get done, or whatever, however it ends up, open everything up to blow it out, pulley would have walked in or out one way or the other. And basically what it was actually doing, it was starting to, because there's such a small cross section of material between where they cut that key slot in and the outside of the hub, it was actually starting to pull the threads. So I tried rethreading it. It didn't want to go. I didn't want to pull the threads out. A set screw will still thread in there, so we're going to leave it the way it is. But it just, and it probably wouldn't have been too bad it probably wouldn't have been too bad had it been a double set screw set up to begin with rather than just a single, which is the main part I don't understand, is why this was just a single set screw pulley. But I guess it survived this long and it worked, so I guess you can't knock it that bad. Okay, so now this can go back on there, and the entire thing can go back on the combine. Alright, we're starting to go back together. I pulled the seal off, and I just, once you get this thing off and you clean the shaft up, you can take it on and off by hand for the most part. But I need to do some adjusting to solve that rub problem. And for that, it appears that I have to lengthen one of those rods. Or both. Get you hanging here. Don't mind my thumb. Do I need to? Well, that definitely made it worse. like the whole dang thing needs to shift that away, because I got a gap over here and not so much over here, but there's no way to move it like that. Well, with a little bit of playing with it, I got it down to just that little tick. So I pulled the screen off and just was looking at the ring that's part of the housing, and it appears that actually, because they don't the radiuses don't perfectly match between this band and that inner bracket that's the air cut that acts as the air cutoff for the screen, it actually kind of puckers this corner a little bit, and it had this the lip right here kind of, you know, so I took it and smacked it a couple times with a hammer, and oh, well, now it doesn't even do it. I don't know, something's still wrong. I still don't understand why this thing wobbles, because like I say, the shaft is straight. No idea. But anyhow, now we can get the seal back on, the screen can go back on permanent, and we can button this thing up before I completely run out of daylight. Alright, that's all back together almost. I don't know why, but they didn't send me enough of the little plastic body clip dealer, body pin, whatever you call them, dealios, to hold that on. Takes 18, they sent me 8. I don't know who fat fingered that number. I remember when I ordered this stuff, it seems like I was sitting out in the field or something waiting for somebody, and I just was ordering parts, so I didn't have the books. I remember I told him, he asked me how many I wanted, and I remember I told him however many it takes to hold that on there. Apparently that number got translated wrong, so I'll have to, honestly, I'm half tempted to just go get some, because they're I don't know. Yeah, I'll just order the dang rivets. It'll be fine, or the whatever body pins, whatever you call them things. I gotta order some stuff from there from Dad anyhow. So yeah, I quit videoing there because it was getting dark, and with me in the way casting shadows, you weren't going to see anything anyhow, so you didn't miss much. But I guess tomorrow we'll go ahead and change it. Nothing out of the ordinary. I'm going to change the oil and stuff. I do want to change the little out of the ordinary. I do want to change the oil and the 2-speed gearbox on the cylinder, because that's probably about due. And then that'll be the end of this video, and part 2 will be this weekend, doing the belts and the other odds and ends, and hopefully Saturday it'll be done and can go back to the shed. If not, Sunday for sure. So anyhow, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Alright, I just wanted to end this video real quick because I wanted to get something up. And this is Friday. We worked on it yesterday. It was Thursday. Didn't video anything today. Literally all I did was change the engine oil and fuel filters. Something everybody's seen me do 1,000 times on different pieces of equipment. There's no way to spice up an oil change. The only other thing out of the ordinary I did was I changed the drain hose because it was leaking. The way they originally had it set up, it had a O-ring boss swivel fitting going into the tank, and then the hose was crimped on that fitting. It was all one assembly, and the O-ring inside the swivel on that top fitting had broke down, and it was leaking out of the swivel. That's why swivel fittings are junk even when they're new. But as you can see, it was kind of pointless power washing this thing because now it's got oil all over it, so I'm gonna let it sit overnight and finish dripping off, and then I'll hose it off again in the morning. Get all that residue off there from having the hose off. But other than that, it was just an oil change today. I'm running out of daylight and I want to get this video made, so that's where I'm going to quit. I have to run in the morning and get some more 80/90 because I won't be able to do the gearbox tomorrow, because I was reading the manual on how to change that, and there's a friction modifier they want you to add, and I looked up the part number online and it's still a good part number. It comes up, but I can't find any specifications on it as to what it is exactly. So it's probably one of them deals where I'm gonna have to buy the bottle the first time from Agco and figure out what it is, and then I could probably find a generic off the shelf if there is such a thing. It might be an Agco specific or white specific, or what I have a hard time believing, but we'll see when we get it. So I gotta order that. I gotta order more pins to get the rest of the rotary screen seal mounted up the rest of the way. Gotta order some parts for Dad. And then, like I say, in the morning I gotta go get a bucket of 80/90. I gotta grab some more 1540 because I burned up the last of what I had, changing the oil in this. And the 7300 still needs done yet. And then when I get done with all that, I'll come back over and start hammering down on it again. So tomorrow I want to check the oil. You're gonna see what I'm gonna do tomorrow, so doesn't matter. So I think that's all I needed to cover. Just, we got the rotary screen and the engine oil done in this, so shouldn't be too much to do on it after this weekend. I'll just be waiting on stuff to finish up what I need, and hopefully while I'm waiting on stuff Monday I can get the 7300 dug out and brought over here. But I also said I was going to have it all the way done Sunday, so I really need to quit saying my plans ahead of time, because they always end up getting shot to shit. So, but such is life. So anyhow, I just wanted to finish this video up real quick, since I didn't end it yesterday, because I thought I was going to be getting further on it today than I actually did. But since I didn't, we're going to call it here, and part 2 will be carrying on from this point. So that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.